Okay, so just like I said, you are highly welcome to tonight's class. So tonight we shall actually continue from where we stopped. We will look at bank reconciliation today. Then, if there is time, we can go a step further to look at something that is actually different, right? So, let me just open this and let's begin. Okay, so we're looking at bank reconciliation. So let me just open this one. Bank reconciliation. I'm going to open two. This is one. Then I would like to open this one also. So there are different banks actually that you could reconcile. So let me open another one again. This is First Bank. So let me just use this medium to also say that there was a time I was, a long time ago, I went to Tranes, Transnationwide. I don't know the number, any of us that know Tranes, okay? So at that particular time, they had backlogs. They needed to reconcile the account and all that. So I was called upon and I assisted them in that reconciliation. So what are the skills that is required? The first thing is that as you are now, the world has become digital, right? The world is now digital. You are not expected to keep manual cash book any longer, the way people do keep manual cash book before. So let me see if I can see a sample of a cash book that you can see in case you want to also keep cash book. You want to keep cash book. Let me see if I can show us a sample of how a cash book should actually look at, should look like. Okay. So let me see if I can see how a cash book should look like. Let me open these. Let me see these accounting files. Let me open 2021 cash book. Okay, so let me open this one. Are we together, please? Are we together?
We are enjoying you, sir. We are together.
Okay. Okay. So I was just trying to show us how you can actually keep cash book, right? So for people that don't know, there's nothing special in cash book. Or you could have you always have your debit, your credit, and everything. I also want to tell us that what we have in our cash book, the opposite of what we post in our cash book is what we actually post in the bank. Okay, so anything you put on the credit side on the cash book are expenses. Expenses are always on the credit side, right? So the opposite of what you do in your cash book is what you pass to. That is what is going to appear on your debit side on your bank statement. So for instance, now here we have an office expense. Okay, the date here is actually 1st of can I say the 2nd of January or something like that? Yeah, 2nd of January 2021. So there was an office expense. Obviously, the credit side is usually the expense, right? So you're going to have like the particulars, the date, number one, the particulars, the check number in case you're using check, cash, bank, and so on and so forth. So on the top hand side, you have your credit, which is your payment that you're making out. Then on the left-hand side, sorry, you have your debit, which is the receipts, right? So usually, let's just trace this transaction. The first thing is on 1st of January, that day, we had an opening balance, okay? That opening balance, we brought it forward, and that opening balance is bank. Opening balance from the bank, we have it over there. Then, so this money now, obviously, we assume that this money should be in the bank, right? Because this is our own balance as in our cash book. We assume that this money should be 130,555.63. So that's what we assume. So as this is on the debit side in our cash book, it's expected to be on the credit side, to be a credit balance in the bank, okay, to show that This actually is an inflow. So we have money in the bank. Then the next thing is that all that money that were coming in, we started adding all those money. We started adding all those money and so on and so forth. So some were through check, some were two checks, right? And each of those money, they went to the bank. So if they give us cash, we can also record it under cash. If it's a cash transaction, we can actually put it under cash. But most of them were transfer, okay? And those transfers, they were to the bank, okay? So another thing you should also take note of is under the particular, you also see that each of these transactions, we also show the bank that those transactions were done from. So now another thing you should also note is this. Look at here, we have the cash book we are doing. We are not just doing a broad cash book. We are doing a cash book for each of the banks. So over here, I don't know if you can see that here is Stanbic operation. We have another cash book for Heritage Bank. So each of the banks, they are going to have their separate cash book. So to show that, okay, here are the transactions that we are recording that are occurring in our Stanbic Operations Bank that we're also recording in our cash book that relates to the Stanbic Operations Bank. So it means that in this, our Stanbic Operations Bank, we're expected to have an opening balance of this value as of that date. Then we now transfer money. When you see where money is coming in, right? We are looking at from where is the money coming from? The money is actually coming from Stanbic IBTC Bank, the client account. That's where the money is coming from, okay? So that means that this transaction is between our Stanbic Operations Bank and our Stanbic Client Bank. Then the next one, another money that came in was from Heritage Bank, right? So we also put the check number. So this money came in, it was like through check. They transfer the money into this account and so on and so forth. So I'm just trying to let you understand what is happening. At the end of the day, you need to like have a balance. You need to balance your account. So what are we doing? We are to add everything that is here. We're going to add it here, just like the way we normally balance accounts now. They also come to the right. After you've listed all the transactions, that all the expenses, the first one is office expense, fee on office expense, and so on and so VAT. So what this guy was doing is that this guy was taking accurate record as he's doing those expenses, as they are deducting the what's it called? As they are deducting those bank charges and everything, the VAT on the fee, it was also capturing them. So in this kind of situation, you discover that there wouldn't be much difference between what you have on your cash book and what you have in your bank statement. So at the end of the day, you need to balance your account. So you come over here, you already have this, that what is here is going to be here as well. Then let me see, there's a place you need to balance this account. Okay, so this balance carried down over here. Aha, so here is where we are. Here is where we are balancing the account. So what you're going to do is that you're going to say this, because this and this must be the same value, right? Irrespective of the fact that one side may be bigger than the other. So what we do is that what is here, which is the debit side, is just equal to, we'll put it here. Then what we now do is that we now say, we now come here, put a formula equal to what is here, right, minus the summation of all the expense that actually occurred that period. That's what we did, so that we can have what is the balance that we are having. We are having an extra of 7,218.94, which is a debit balance. So we now brought it over as the balance brought down as at that date, which is what is going to form our opening balance in February. So for those people that they are looking at what to do, if you want to actually capture your transactions accurately, you can have something like this, right? You can have something like this where you are capturing all the inflows as well as all the outflows that are actually happening, okay, as at that particular time. So from this now, you can also get your trial balance from this. What you just need to do is that just also go to that file that I showed us the other day. When you go to that file, just know that the opposite of what we have over there. So let me try and open this stuff. Opposite of what we have over there is what you're going to use. So let me open this stuff and let's see yeah, let's see what is happening. Here we have, okay, nothing is here. Posting our trial balance, and then this. Okay, so this is not what I'm trying to look for. I'm looking for that place where we did our from bank statement to the from our bank statement to hold on, sorry. Oh, let me open this one. Okay, sample company. Okay. Just give me some minute. I'm trying to like get what I want to show so that we can understand it properly. Yeah. So we're actually doing bank reconciliation. So I just wanted to show us what the cash book looks like. So you can also, from that your cash book, you can also still get this thing as it is like this. So what do you need to do? What you need to do is that you just come to your description. Let me go back to it. You go to your description. Okay, so this is it now. So what you need to do is that this is your particular. So this becomes your description. You just carry it, you come and put it at that middle. You put it at that middle, the way it is listed here. Then another thing to do is that because this transaction is actually from the bank, from the cash book, right? So whatever you have on the debit side, yeah, this is the debit, right? The left-hand side. So you copy this thing and come and paste it special on the credit side. Okay, so you're going to have all the inflows, the opening balance, everything. The same thing you do to whatever is on the credit side. You also go there and you also come over to the right hand side. You also copy the date. The date will also will be copied because those are the transaction date. Then you come over here where you have date. You are going to paste it special. Then the particulars, you also put it here. The anything that is on the credit side, you are going to put it on the debit side. Then you do your narration. Then you also ask yourself, where did I get that information from? I got it from probably Stanbic operations account or Stanbic whatever account, because that is after you have reconciled your bank statement and you are sure that there is actually no difference between what you have in your cash book for that bank and what actually is in that bank. So you can use that to do your trial balance the way I was showing us. So once you copy the date, copy the particulars, copy the amount, okay, and all that, and then you are good to go. You put your narration, you put everything, and that is how to go about it. So anybody that needs this sample cash book, you can let me know. I can always forward it to you so that you can use it if you need it, okay? But if you have created yours and you don't need it, you don't need to ask for it. Okay, so that's that. I just need to show us how a cash book looks like, because there are a lot of people that may not understand how it actually looks like in Excel. So that is how it actually looks like in Excel. Any question?
Yeah, thank you, sir. My question is, are we going to open for each bank separate cash book?
Yes, sir.
All right, okay.
Yeah, you can see what is done here. This is Stanbic DOM, Stanbic client, Heritage client, Stanbic operation, Heritage operation. So you have to open for each bank, because what we are trying to do is that we are at the end of the day, we need to check the balance in our bank to our cash book. So you cannot be checking the balance in your operations, in your GTB with the general cash book where you are keeping record of all the banks. I don't know if you understand. So you need to be specific.
I
Balance,
understand. Yeah.
yes. So balance for GTB, we check it against cash book for GTB. So that's how to go about it. So that is that, and that is that. So that is that. That has been taken care of. Now, don't also forget that there could be some transactions that you could do here that may not reflect in your bank. Example is when you have cash at hand, right? So here they are showing us money that is in the bank. What about if some of these transactions were by cash, and then we now do some expenses by cash as well? So you discover that the balance that we have in our cash book will never be the same as the balance we have in our bank statement. So therefore, it now becomes an issue. You have to reconcile it to be sure that everything is well reconciled. So that's why you can see that we do it for January. So bit by bit, so that everything will not become so choked up. Do it little by little. So these are transactions for January, for instance, what came in for January, and to the left-hand side, here are all the expenses that also occur in January. So that is how to go. So that is that. So the next thing you want to do is, after you've done all these things, you want to now reconcile. How to reconcile your account. So what do? Let me now tell us what to do. So let's now come to so I have two accounts. Here is Zenith Bank. Here the other one is actually our FCMB, so FBN, which is First Bank of Nigeria. So what do you need to do? The first thing is that you need to have your bank statements. Your bank statement, you already know how a bank statement will always look like. Once you have your bank statement, you also need to have your cash book. Okay, so your bank statement and your cash book, they will always look alike, right? Why is that? Because they are almost similar transactions. This now was extracted from this a ledger account. It was extracted from it was extracted from your software, right? So from your software, you extract it from your software. That's how we have all these things. So to get that software, it means that you also go to the software, because in that your software, you have different banks in that your accounts that you're using. So in your software, it could be that you put Zenith Bank, you put GT Bank, so it means that you cannot reconcile all the ledgers at once. You're going to reconcile ledgers per bank. You go to GT, you download the bank statement that is in your software, because as you're transacting, as you're posting all those things, is also because you are posting through the bank, right? For instance, if money is coming in, you see the money in your GT Bank, you want to pay for an expenses, you also pay for it from your GT Bank. So everything is also capturing in your software. So when you download your ledger account, okay, probably this is GT ledger account, okay, you download it. So this becomes your cash book, which is what your statement is reading from your software for Zenith Bank. You also come to the actual bank statement from Zenith Bank. You also have it over here. Are we together? I hope we are together.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, we are.
Okay. So once you have that, you have this thing that you've gotten from your software, okay, which is for Zenith Bank, all the transactions that you've posted to your Zenith Bank, all the income, all the expenses that you've incurred. Just go to your software, go to the bank section, go and download the bank statement in that your bank section. So once you've gotten it, so you're going to have it on different sheets like this. Then the next thing you want to do is that you want to make them together. You want to make them together. So what do? Let's now come to where our workings is. For our workings, look at what I did, because here is almost like the same thing. You're going to be having your dates, your reference, your description, everything there, exactly the way you have it in your bank. In your bank, you have your date, your reference. Some of them we have, is it transaction date? Some of them we have another date, but here are the headings. We have the date, the reference, the description, the debit, the credit, then the balance, the way it is on our bank statement. Also in our cash book is also similar. You have your date, you have your reference, description, you have the debit, the credit, the balance, the amount, and so on and so forth. So what you need to do is that you now come over. When you come over, what you do is that you are going to merge them. You're going to make the statement just like the way we have. Okay, look at it now. Here, I have the first bank statement. So from this bank statement, I open another sheet, right? So when I open another sheet, so let's do it practically together so that you can understand what is happening here. So let me just open another sheet. So what we have here, I want to simply copy, right? So let me see, do I have the closing balance? Do I have, okay, yeah. So the balances are here, fine. So we have the opening balance and all that. So what we need to do is that we need to copy this. You come here, Control C. When you copy it, you come over to this place and come and paste it. Paste it specially. So you come here, you come to your paste special, right? When you come to the paste special, then you see this thing that looks like they say keep source column width. This is how you come and paste it. So keep source column width. You just click on it, and then it's going to paste exactly the way it was before. So another thing we want to do is because we are also going to put our cash book here, we need to do something. Let's show that this is from the bank. So let's put source. We're going to have like source. We're going to have source. So under source now, we now say BS to represent bank statement. Then the next thing we want to do is want to double click it. Double click. Sorry. Yeah, so this is transaction from the bank. That is fine. Then the next thing we also want to do is I want to come to our cash book as well. We want to copy our cash book. So for this one now, because we already have this in this place, we cannot copy the way we copied before. So therefore, we have to copy it from here. Let's just copy like this. When we copy like this, okay, yeah. So let's copy like this. We copy it all through to the bottom. We now Control C. We now come over here. Then we want to put it over here. Then another thing that I want to do is this, right? This is another thing I want to do. Okay, let's come to this place. Now, at the end of the day, we already have the debit, we have the credit, we have our balance, right? But what we want to do is that we want to have, we have debit, credit, debit, credit. We want to have all these things, we want to have it on one space to be amount. That means that apart from us having debit, apart from having credit, we also want to have all this, whatever falls on the debit side, whatever falls on the credit side, I want everything to reflect only on one row. We need everything on one row. So what are we going to do? This is what we're going to do for all these transactions here. We're going to say equal to the debit minus the credit. That's what we're going to do. So we say equal to D minus C. That's what we are going to do for everything, so that the credit is going to be negative figures and all that, and the debit is going to be positive figure. So let's come over here. When we come over here, let's first of all do it for the first one. We are going to have, let me go back again. I want to be sure of where the source. So we're going to have source. Okay. So our source will not, let's first of all do the amount. Let's first of all do the amount here. So let's come here. Before we have our source, which I put here, let's have what I told us that we needed to do. Let me see. I'm not sure. Sorry, it's working and it's taking time. It's not supposed to. I think I did something that is wrong. So the thing is taking time actually. And I don't know if I should cancel, if I should press escape. Okay, so I'll press escape. So let me do on to Z. Oh, imagine. So I did Control Z and what? Okay, undo, Control Z. Oh, what was going on? Sorry, let's just wait. Okay. So Control Y, let me see. Let me come to this side. Okay, yeah. So we are back now. So what I want to do is this. For this, my source, I want to insert. Now, remember what I told us that we're going to do. Up here, I want to have something that we'll call amount. Amount. Yeah, so this is the amount. So what I want to do is this. I'll now say that equal to, I say equal to, I click on the debit minus the credit. So this is what I'm going to do. Then click on enter. So once you do that, you can autofill it to the bottom. So that anything that is on the credit is going to be, so we are going to use that to differentiate whatever is a credit transaction different from whatever is a debit transaction. So debit transactions, they are all going to be positive, while credit transactions, they are going to appear as negative. So that's the first step. So the first step is you copy that transaction, then you let all the transaction, instead of it to be on debit and credit, let it be on one row. You're having debit, you're having credit, and everything is fine. So the next thing you want to do is that you now put your source. Here, all the things here are from the bank. Then the next thing we want to do is we now come over to the cashbook again. We now copy this, our information, Control C. When you copy the information, you come to this place and then you come and paste it 1, 2, 3. So you paste it special, but this time around you're pasting it 1, 2, 3. So you come and paste it here like this 1, 2, 3. So that is fine. We pasted this like this. So what we need to do is that we need to now call this cashbook before we mix up information. So this is going to be CS, which is cashbook. Then what you want to do is that you want to also double tap. Oh, this is not. Okay, so let's copy it. Control C, and then let's put it all over here. Yeah, so here it is. So this is from the cashbook, right? So the next thing we want to do is that we want to repeat the same information, the same formula, so that everything will be on one space. We are going to have, so we can now double fill. Yeah, so everything on the credit side is going to, whatever is on the credit side is going to be a negative, and what's on the debit side is going to be a positive. All right, so that's how it's going to be. So now you now discover that the way we've done it now, our bank statement and our cash book, they are going to be having the same figure. For instance, if we have 629,351.64, this transaction, we know that because it's not negative, it's actually a debit transaction. But where is it? It's on the bank. So if it's a debit transaction, that means it's an inflow, which means that we ought to also see it on the credit side here, which is going to be a negative. I don't know if you understand. Are we together? Are we together? Yeah. So look at what I'm saying.
Yes.
So this is negative and this is positive. Okay. So that's how it's going to be. So we follow the step irrespective of where we are picking the information from. So that is the first step. We've been able to like analyze it. This is from the cash book and this is from the bank. So the next thing we want to do is that we want to now start our solving. I want to start our solving.
Not something that cash book. I think okay. I think it was appearing like a CS. I've seen it. Okay.
Oh, it's supposed to be CB, I mean?
Yeah, BS. Yeah.
CB.
CB.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, sir, for that. Thank you. Okay, so this is cash book. So now the next thing I want to do is this thing, I call it our workings. So the next thing I want to do is we already have our source. The next thing we want to do is we want to have our remark. So this our remark. This is where we are going to like be saying what it is. Just like the way we usually have our description. Okay, this is where we're going to be having our remarks. So what we're going to do is that anything that we find on our cash book and also on our cash book and also on our
bank statement.
Please, you can mute your mic so that there won't be interruption. Mute your mic so that there won't be interruption. So we now come, let me see what I call that place. I actually called it remarks. Yeah, so you come over here now, you come and put your remark over here. So here is going to be remarks, remark. So what you want to do is that you want to now start your work. So what we're going to do is we are going to now sort this thing. Let's sort it. Let's sort. So you come to everywhere that you have heading, and then you want to sort. So let's come to our home. When you come to your home, you come to this side. There you come and put this thing that look like a funnel. You want to sort. Okay, so we are sorting now. So let's now sort it by the amount. This one that we have debit and credit together that we have used formula to insert. So when we now come here, we click on this thing. So what we want to do is that we want to say, okay, we are looking for, so let's if you are scrolling, you discover that at a point, okay, let's do something. Let's unmark everything. We unmark it, right? So when we unmark it, we discover that there's a place at the bottom, you're going to have all your debits. At the top, you're going to have all your credit. Your minus is always going to be at the top, while your plus is going to be at the bottom. So what we want to do is that we want to start, it will take you a long time. The first one is 48, that is the negative 48.39. Do we have it over here? No, we don't have 48.39. So let's look for the next item. The next item that is also negative is 100. Do we have 100 over here? We check. So it's actually manual, kind of. We don't have 100 over there. So the next one we have 7,000. So let's check our positive. Do we have 7,000? Yes. So mark this 7,000, then also mark this other 7,000. Once you've done that, click on OK. Once you click on OK, so what you want to do is that under this your source, anything, when you have anything on the, now you see that here is cash book and here is bank statement. One is going to be negative, the other one is going to be positive, right? So on the bank statement, when you have your negative here, 7,000, it means that this your negative 7,000 is actually an inflow, which is going to be on the debit side on the cash book. Are we together? It means that this 7,000 that happened in the bank statement, we can also trace it in our cash book. So what do? Our remarks, we can call it, let's call it X. Here is X, here also is X. So we call it X, then you go back to what you are doing again. You clear everything, and then another thing you can also do is this. Let me see. Okay, so we have X, X, X. Another thing you can do is that you come over here. We don't want to see anything that is X. We don't want to see anything that is X. We don't want to see the blank spaces. So we click on this. So anyone that you mark as X will disappear. So it makes the thing shorter, okay? It makes your work shorter. So we come over again. So it looks like a rigorous tax, but you have to follow through. But another thing that we can use conditional formatting for it. How many of us know conditional formatting? Okay, so yeah, now we now have we have another. We have checked negative 100, we didn't see. We check negative 48.37, we didn't see. So the next thing we're going to check is 7,500. We come down to the positive. Do we have any 7,500? Yes, we have 7,000. So you click on 7,500. You also click on the negative. Then I also saw an 8,000 negative here. I also saw another 8,000 here. Then there's 14,600 here. Do we have any 14,600? Yeah, there's 14,600. There's 16,400. Here also there is 14,600, 16,400. Fine. 19,350. Do we have it here? It's also here, 19,350. And here we also have 19,350. So let's click on that first. Once you click on it, so all these things okay, so yeah, let's look at them. 14,600 is here also. So that is X. Anyone that is there that we can see in that place and see here, we call it X, right? 19,350, both of them are there. We call them X. Then the next one, we also have 16,400 is here, is also here as well. 16,400 8,000 is here, 7,005 is here, 8,000 is here, 7,005 is here. So we are done. So once we have done that, let's go back to our drawing board. We come over here, we come and select all again. Select all. So when we select all, already our remarks, we've taken out anything that is X. We unmark it. So anyone that we've checked at S, we know we flat here again. Okay, so it's reducing. Okay, the thing is reducing. So let's come back to this place again, our amount. Once you come to your amount, you uncheck everything, go to the lowest figure that you can see. We've checked for 100, we didn't see. So 10,000 is here, 20,000 is here. Let's check. Do we have 10,000 here? No, we don't have 10,000, but 20,000 is here. 20,000 also is here. 21,500 is here. Do we have 21,500? Yes. 21,500. And here is also 21,500. The next one we have 22,000. Do we have here also? Yes. 22,000 is here. 22,000 is also here. 25,000 is here. Do we have it here as well? Yes. 25,000 is here. And 25,000 is also here. So let's make do with that. We now come here. So we now say, okay, all these things, our remarks, 25,000, 25,000, XX. So we saw it in the bank statement. We also saw it in the cash book. We saw it here. We also saw it here. We saw it here. We also saw this one. This is also here, 20, 20. So they're all there. So that is fine. Let's go back to our amount again. We now select all again. Okay. So when you select all, so what am I doing? You select all, sorry, select all. And so once you've done that, you discover that the thing is reducing more. So let's come back to our amount again. So what we want to do is I want to eliminate everything that we can see in the bank, as well as everything that we can see in the cash book. So you can see that this thing should be done if you can do it monthly, right? Because it's serious work. You can do it monthly, you can go on with that. But if you have other Excel techniques that you can actually use to get your answers quickly, you can also employ that techniques, and let's see how we can get it done. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is that we also say, okay, what is the lowest thing here again? 10,000 is here. We didn't see 10,000 here. Right. Positive. 2005 is here. So we didn't see all those things. So let's check 44,000. Yes, 44,000 is here. And 44,000 is also here. 53,000 is here. 53,000 is also here. Yes, 95,000 is here. What about here? Is not here. So 53,000. So like that means that two. 50,000 and that 53,000. So we don't really know the one that it is. So let me select. Okay, this is 53,843. Let me check the one I selected there. 53,844. So that means we didn't select the right one. 53,844 is what we ought to select. We deselect this one. Then 63,000 is here. Is it here also? Nah, it's not here. But 629 is here. 629 is also here. So here and here. 95,000. Let's check for 95,000 here. 95,000 and 95,000. Hope I'm not too fast. Am I too fast, everybody? So once you have these that has been selected, we just call it X, right? So you also need to be careful. Another thing you need to do is that at times you can also check the narration to be sure that it's actually the same narration that you are actually working with. Okay, so this is it. Then this is courier service. The same thing, courier service. Fine. So we're going to call it X, 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 and X. So everything is there. So let's come back to our amount. Let's come back to this amount and select all. And then we click on OK. You discover that the thing is getting shorter because we are taking away all the ones that we can see. Because all the ones that we can see is not what is giving us issue. Is what we can see that is giving us the issue. So we are taking out what we can see that we can match from the bank statement and the cash book. Now, whatever we cannot now match, those are the reconciling differences. So those are the reconciling differences, which could be as a result of, it could be a direct debit, a direct credit, it could be unpresented check, it could be bank charges, it could be, what else can it be? It could be as a result of error, it could be as a result of omission, it could be as a result of standing order, and so on and so forth. So let's repeat the process until we are sure that there's nothing that we can see in both sides any longer. So here we cannot see 10, we cannot see 100, and here there's no 10, there is no 100. So we've already matched what is available. So now let's now come over now. The next thing we want to do is that we want to now look at all these things. When they are on the bank statements and they are small, obviously we should know that they should be bank charges. Is that not so? You can see majority of these things that are here in the bank statement, they're actually little things. Most of them are going to be bank charges. So when they are positive, we know that they are on the debit side, and they are expenses because they are on the bank statement and they are on the, so each of them are going to be bank charges, bank charges, bank charges. So let's come over here. For bank charges, we're going to call it BC. For bank charges, we're going to call bank charges BC. Then for other things, we are going to be calling them other names that that is appropriate. So let's come back. So all these things are on the bank statement and they are small figures. Obviously, we can also check to know that they are bank charges. So over here, we're going to call the under remark, we're going to call these bank charges, bank charges, another bank charges. Here is also bank charge, bank charge is on the bank statement. Make sure it's on the bank statement. Bank charges, bank charges, bank. Usually, bank charges is part of the reconciling differences that we're talking about. So bank charges, sorry, bank charges as well, bank charges. Bank charges is on bank statement. But this one now, this is too big to be a bank charge. But let's look at what it is. They say checkbook issuance check. Checkbook issuance charge. Okay, so it's also bank charges, right? It's also bank charges. Then here, this can also be a bank charge. Okay, so let's call it bank charges, right? This is also bank charges. Here is so here now, this is on our bank statement. Now we don't know what this transaction is because we couldn't trace it to our cash book. All these things are on the bank statement. So now the question you ask yourself is, this transaction, is it on a debit side or on the credit side? Can we unmute our mic? The thing is is positive. Is it on a debit transaction or is it a credit transaction? Who can tell me? Hello? Are we still together?
Yes, please come again, sir.
Okay, so at least you understand how we got to this extent, right? You understand how we eliminated what is in the bank as well as in the cash book. You also understand.
Yes.
You also understand how we got this place where we have an amount here. You also understand how we got source. You also understand how we're able to differentiate between credits and debit transactions, right?
Yes.
Okay, so now when we have seen all those things that are on the bank statement and on the cash book, and then we have eliminated them by using X to show that, okay, this, anytime you see X, know that it's transactions that are in the bank and also in the cash book. So we've eliminated those transactions. So what is now remaining are the reconciling differences. So we want to now see that, okay, what can these transactions be? We saw that all these items are on the bank statement and they are little figures. And we know that, okay, all this should be bank charges. Obviously, in your cash book, you will not know that bank charges are being deducted. So we are recognizing bank charges. But I now came to this one now. This transaction is too big, okay? It's too big to be called a bank charges. And also, I want to determine, is this transaction, is it on the bank statement or is it on the cash book? We already know that it's on the bank statement, right? The next question is that it is positive. Which of those transactions are always positive? Is it the debit or the credit?
Okay, so these are
In the bank.
credit from the bank. They are credit
These are
from
what?
the bank. They
Abba,
are credit from the bank.
Abba.
In
Why
the
would you say
bank statement, it should be debited in the bank statement.
so?
So
All
it
this,
should be credit to our
Credit in the
our
bank
cash book,
should be
the
debit
bank
in the
statement,
bank
because that bank statement debits all the bank charges.
okay, so
So
what I just,
once it is
yeah,
in the debit side of the bank statement, though it's not appear on our cash book. I didn't even want it to be appear. To go and appear at credit side.
okay, so fine. So I just wanted to be sure. I just wanted us to be able to identify that this is a debit entry in the bank statement. So, yes. So since this is a debit entry, it could be a standing order, because when there's a debit entry in the bank, that stuff is going to take away our money. So we don't know. It can be a direct debit, right? It can be so it's either you call it a direct debit or call it strange debit. So we don't know what this debit is because it just hit our account, right? We don't know. So let's call it strange debit, okay? Because we don't know what happened, it just hit our account. So the same thing happened to this one. We also call this one a strange debit, or we can call it direct debit. We don't know. It could be a standing order. It could be anything. So let's just call it a strange debit. The most important thing is that it's a debit and we are not aware about how it occurs. So we now say this is also a strange debit because all of them are positive and they are on the bank statement. It's a strange debit, strange debit. Here also is a strange debit. Here as well is a strange debit. The same thing occurs to the a strange debit, a strange debit. Now here we have now this stuff is what do we call it? This
bank
now
charges.
this can this be bank charges? Your okay. So these bank charges as well, or is in your cash book? Okay, so
Yes.
how come these bank charges is not affecting your, because bank charges cannot happen in your cash book.
On the bank statement, yes, it can't. I mean, it can only happen on the bank statement and not there in the cash book.
Yes. So therefore, and now this stuff now, since is negative, is this a credit entry or is it a debit entry? Is it an expenses or an income? Who can tell me? The first thing is that note that is on the cash book now, and then it is negative. Which transaction is negative? Is it debit or is it credit? And is it an expense or an income?
It's an expense.
Is
It's
it
an
credit
expense in the
or
cash
debit?
book.
It's an expense.
Is it debit or
It's
credit?
credit on the card.
It's
Credit on the
it's a
cash book.
credit.
Okay, so it's a credit. So it's an
Yes.
expense. So
Yeah.
what can we call this? Who can tell me what we can call this? And then we have two. We actually have two, right? We actually have two. So what can we
Maybe
call this?
undebited, unpresented check.
Yes, so it can be unpresented checks. Yes. So
Yeah.
they can actually be unpresented checks. So let's come over here and see. So here we have a strange debit as I've shown. strange debit, and so on. So it could be like unpresented check or on so on and so forth. So it's unpresented check because it's actually not in our bank. It's actually not in our bank statement. So, and then it is on the debit. So it's on the credit side on our this thing. So let's call it unpresented check. So let's call it unpresented. So we'll come over here. I will call it unpresented. UP unpresented. Here also we call it unpresented. So that is how to go. Are we together? So what we need to do now is this. Since we have all these things like this, so we can now decide to show everything now. Let's show everything now. So now we have all the transactions now. So we can decide to even sort the transactions, the remarks. You can decide to sort it depending on how you want it. So we've sorted it. So it's now this way. So all the ones that we have down, these are all the things that we were able to match from our cash book to our bank statement. So those are the X. But all the ones that you have at the top, here are bank charges, unpresented checks, strange debit, and so on and so forth. Now this is where, now this is actually easy because it's a small transaction. So some transactions for January can even be larger than this. So the next step we're going to do is that you now come, let me show us the main workings that you need to do. Once you have been able to do all those things, you're going to now have something like this, right? So you come to the right. So this is what you're going to do. Is either you have to start from the balance from your bank statement, or you have to start from the balance from your cash book. But at every point in time, when you do your workings, you are going to arrive at the balance in the other one. So if you are starting from the balance in your bank statement, you must arrive at the balance in your cash book. I don't know if you understand. So here now, we are starting from the balance in our bank statement now. So as at the end of that period, let's confirm that our balance in our cash book is actually 602. Let's check our bank statement, 602. I hope I've not sorted this thing. Bank statement, that's at the end, 602. Okay, so here, this has been sorted. So as at the end of that period, our balance is actually, this bank statement is as at, let me check. This thing is as at 2020. So the bank statement that we use for this transaction, I can't find it any longer, but this is the balance as at that day, okay? And that balance is what they pick. If you check, this is as at November, right? So 30th of November, that period, that is when we took this bank statement. So the balance as at that date was 602, which is what we have to pick. So you have to start, it's either you are starting with balance from the bank statement, or you're starting with balance from the cash book. Obviously, each of them have been sorted. So now you cannot really tell which the balance is any longer because it's a long time ago, but because most times they could either want to sort the transactions, okay, alphabetically or whatever. So, but I will advise us, anytime you are trying to do your bank reconciliation, make sure you don't have a place where you put your bank statement untouched. Have another place where you put your cash book untouched. Then have another sheet, just like we have a working document here. You can have another sheet where you do all your workings. That means that at any point in time, you can always come back to your bank statement to see what balance is it at the beginning, what balance is it at the end. But the most important thing is the balance at the end is all we need for both our bank statement and also for our cash book. So when you know what the balance at the end is, for each of them, you can decide to start from anyone. So if you are working from your bank statement, let's come back to our workings. If you are working from your bank statement, picking the balance as at the bank statement. So as at that date, October to November, we are picking the balance from our bank statement, which is this value, okay? So what are we going to do? When you pick the balance as at your bank statement, right? So what do? This balance at your bank statement is arrived at because they have deducted bank charges, right? They are this transaction that they deducted bank charges from it, right? You also have uncredited, right? You also have strain debits. So all these things, they are all the things that all the reconciling differences that actually occurred in the bank that could actually make this your bank balance to be this value. Because if we are looking at why is our cash book, why is it actually different from our bank statements? So what do? We say, okay, the reason that is different is because this our balance now, we've deducted bank statements. So we deducted bank charges. So let's add back the bank charges that we've deducted so that we can see whether we arrive at this balance at the cash book. So what do? We pick our balance at the bank statement. Then we now say, okay, what did we deduct from it that is making us have this figure? Okay, bank charges. We deducted bank charges in our bank statement. We did not deduct it in the cash book. So we say, okay, let's add it back first. Let's see whether we arrive at the figure in the cash book. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Hello, are we together? Do you understand me?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, so we say, okay, why is this thing smaller than this? Could it be because, okay, there is bank charges that we've deducted. So, okay, let's add it back. Let's see what happens. So we are going to add back the bank charges that we've deducted. Then we're also going to add uncredited. You know, there could be some checks that you've sent to the bank that they are supposed to actually that's supposed to credit. When they credit that check, it's supposed to increase the money you have in your bank. Obviously, here we have debited it in our cash book. That's how our cash book is big. But assuming we have uncredited checks, right? We are going to see it probably on the debit side of our cash book. We're going to see it on the credit side of our cash book. So yes, we're going to see it on the debit side of our cash book, but we won't see it on the credit side of the bank statement. I don't know if you understand. So that means that in our cash book, we already assume that money has entered. Because it has entered, then we have taken that check to the bank. So this is what happens. When a customer decides to pay us by check, that check, we have recorded that money has entered, but maybe they have not presented it in the bank. I don't know if you understand. They've not presented that money in the bank as at the time we are doing our reconciliation. So you're going to have in our cash book, we've already included that money, but in our bank, we have not included it. So we thought, okay, what can be making the balance in our bank statement to actually be different from the cash book? Could it be because of the bank charges that they deducted? Let's add it back first because it's an expense. Okay, could it also be because of the uncredited check that we have already added in our cash book as a debit, but in our bank statement, we've not credited it? We also add the uncredited checks. Then we also say, okay, what about this train debit that we are not aware of, that we did not deduct from our cash book? Let's add it back to this stuff to know whether we are going to arrive at the same balance as at our cash book. So what are we doing? We are going to add the bank charges that they deducted. We add it back. We're going to add strange uncredited checks that we are supposed to have credited that we've not credited. We not credited and say, okay, let's credit it. Let's see if we are going to arrive at this figure. So we're going to add our uncredited checks. The next thing we're going to add is our strain debit. Those debits, they actually occurred in the bank. Now, but we have not done the same thing to our cash book. So let's say, okay, let's add it back first. Let's see whether we are going to arrive at this same figure, okay? So we now add it back. So what are we adding? We're adding back our bank charges. We're adding our uncredited checks, okay, to see whether we arrive at the same figure that we have in our cash book. Then we are now adding back anything that we have deducted. So any expense that you have deducted that is not deducted in the cash book, add it back. We are trying to, okay, let's see whether if we add all these things back, we are going to arrive at the same figure. We are trying to reconcile our account. So we now say, okay, let's add back bank charges that they deducted in our bank statement that we did not know that has been deducted. Let us also add back the strange debit that happened that we are not aware of. Let's add it back. Then uncredited checks, something that we have recorded before that they have not recorded in the bank. Let's also record it. So once you've done that, you're going to have a figure. Okay. So when you have this figure, right, you are going to now add it because it's an addition. You're going to add it to the balance that you have in your bank statement. So you're going to have a certain figure. Then the next thing you're going to do is that you now say, okay, now that we have that, let's now because these are unpresented, right? So all these unpresented are supposed to be something that they will present and deduct the money. Any check that you are sending to the bank, right? You've issued out the check. So normally they are supposed to have, because we already in our cash book, we have deducted that money as if we have paid that vendor, but they've not deducted it in the bank. So let's say, okay, let's deduct this money first that they say they sent to pay a vendor. When we deduct the money, which is 10,000, we now see that, okay, our bank statement now, our balance as at the bank is now exactly the same thing that our cash book is. Obviously, now the difference between the balance we're going to get here and what we have in our bank, in our cash book, is going to be the same. Let me do something. I'm coming. Let me do something. I'm coming. Okay, so yeah. So this is the balance as the cash book. That's what they picked. Okay, so okay, sorry. That's what they picked. Okay, so you can see that now we have our expected cash book balance, which is this from the cash book. Then when we now did our workings, so what is the workings that we did? It's very easy. Our bank statement, we know that we have a balance, and that balance is not agreeing with our cash book. So what are we to do? This is our balance that is not agreeing. We say, okay, why is this balance not agreeing with our cash book? Was it because we deducted bank charges that has not been, that they did not know that it's deducted? Why not? Let's add it back first. Let's see. So we are going to add it back. Okay. Then uncredited checks that we have assumed that the money has come in. We've added it in the cash book. Let's also add it. Okay. Let's credit it and see. Okay, then strange debits that also occurred that we are not aware of. Let's add it back first. Let's see. So we added all those three things back. Okay, then we are having this value which we added to this one, and then we are having this. Then the next thing we now say is that okay, there's also an unpresented check that we in the cash book they've treated it like they've paid the vendor. Okay, so let's now also pay the vendor. Let's pay the vendor. So we now put it as this. Then there could also be strange credits, right? Strange credits that occurred that hit the account that we are not aware of. Let's also deduct it first and see whether we will actually arrive at the same value. So those are the things that they did. What did they do? They picked the value from bank statement. They added three things: add bank charges, add uncredited checks, add your strange debit. Then what are we going to do? Deduct your unpresented, because that's your unpresented checks in the cash book. They've treated it as if they've paid the vendor already. Then strange credits, money that entered into our bank that we are not aware of. Let's also deduct it first, because we are trying to reconcile this our balance. We are trying to reconcile it with this balance. That's what we are trying to achieve. Okay, and then that is how we're able to do it, and we're able to arrive at our answer. Okay, do we have any question, please? Any question? Any question? Do you have any question? People are not talking. Oh.
None from me.
We are listening.
You are listening or you are listening?
Hello.
I say, are you listening or you are listening? Okay, so
But I'm saying that I'm with you.
okay, that's fine. Thank you. So let's now before I move on to the next one, we've done that of the First Bank of Nigeria. Okay, it's very easy. Let me just take the step again, one after the other, before we now go to that other one. So the first thing you need to do is this: you're going to have your bank statements. You're going to have your bank statement. When you have your bank statement, you're also going to have your cash book. And I told you how you're going to get your cash book. Your cash book is going to be from your postings, your software. So as you are posting your transactions, when you are paying vendors, what bank are you paying from? You are paying from Zenith Bank. When money came in, you record it in Zenith Bank. Okay. When you are paying some people, you pay them from Fidelity. When money came in, you also recorded it into Fidelity. So each of those banks, go to your software, okay, your accounting software, go to the bank section. When you go to the bank section, go and download the transaction for each of those banks. Download the transaction for, is it just as if you want to extract the bank statement from the Zenith Bank in your software. So once you extract it, they call it the ledger, okay? You're going to get the ledger for that your account. So you're going to have it in a place here like this, the way we have it over here. The bank statement is going to be somewhere, this is going to be somewhere. Then the next thing you want to do is that you want to now merge it the way I merged this one. So what you do, first of all, copy one, copy it and paste it special. Once you paste it special, then you now have another column where you want to now do your debit minus your credit. Okay, the way we did our debit minus our credit, we did that for all the bank statement. The next thing we now did is we now have another place for source. Our source, we now say, okay, all these transactions are from the bank, so that when we are doing our description, it's going to be easy for us to be able to classify it very well. So once we have done that, then the next thing you want to do is that you want to also have remarks, which we are going to use later. Then once you have finished doing that, you now also go to where you have transaction for your cash book, right? Also go and copy that transactions, copy the transactions, copy the ones that you need. You need, I think basically what you need is just debit and credit, right? But if you also want to copy the balances, it's fine. Copy it and then come over here and come and paste it 1, 2, 3. Remember I told us that you should paste it 1, 2, 3. Once you pasted it 1, 2, 3, then you also do this column where we are having our amount, right? Because we don't want to be having debit and credit separately. We want to have this figure on only one column. So the debits are going to be positive, the credits are going to be negative. So we just come here and say equal to debit minus credit. We now did that for everything. So anytime we see any negative figure, we know that it's on the credit side. Then we also have our source to also help us to be able to tell what transaction belongs to the bank statement, what transaction belongs to the cash book. The next thing we want to do is that we also have our remarks. Then what you need, the next step is that you now select all the places, the edits where your transactions are. Select everything. Once you've selected everything, then you now come to home. Once you come to your home, right, you want to come and filter. Come to where you have your filter, then select your funnel to filter it. Once you've filtered it, then you can now start working. So you go straight to where you have your amount, where you have both debit and credit on one line. You go there and then you now start filtering. So what you need to do is that you just uncheck. Then you will see that at the top, you're going to see negative figure at the top. Then there's a place where the negative figure will stop. So now start checking the negative figure against the positive figure. The negative figure here I have minus 48. Trace whether you're going to see minus 48 or 48. You just check. You can see that here we have 1, we have 3, we have 15, we have 26, we have 30, 32, we have 40. We didn't see 48. Check the next one, negative 100. You also check, we didn't see 100. So that's how we're able to do it. And then we're able to now capture what we can see in the bank and also in the cash book we capture them as X. So once we have done that, we make sure that we capture everything that we needed to capture, and there is no, what's it called? There's nothing, no stone that is unturned, right? We've been able to capture everything that we want to capture, and there's nothing remaining. So when I say that there's nothing else to actually trace, so once we have been able to do that, that is when we now, whatever is now remaining. Also, don't forget that under my remarks, I also did something to filter away whatever I've already named. So what I did is that I came to my remarks, I click on my remarks, then I uncheck what I don't want to see. I don't want to see X because X is not my issue. X is not the problem. I uncheck X and click on OK. So once I do that, the only thing I'm going to see, I'm only going to see the reconciling differences, right? So from the reconciling differences, and I check it. What kind of transaction are they? Are they on the debit side? Are they on the credit side? If they are positive, I know they are debit. If they are negative, I know they are credit. Then you also check, is it a bank statement transaction? Is it a cash book transaction? So once you've checked all those things, then you now start giving your own remarks, okay? This on the bank statement, the debit, okay, and it's a small figure, definitely it must be bank charges. So that's how I did everything for the bank charges. Then when I get to bigger figures, right? Like this is 2.5, I also come and check here. I saw that, okay, this 2.5, they also say checkbook issuance charge. Okay, I can also call it bank charges, okay? So I also called it bank charges. Then, and I came here, I saw a negative for the first time. And this negative also is still on the bank statement. So this figure is a little figure. So I trace it to the description. I also saw that it's a reversal of bank charges. I also call it bank charges. And then I saw bigger figures. So these bigger figures now, they are positive, meaning that they are debit. So if they are debit, okay, it could be a standing order because it's on the bank, right? It means that this payment that we made to somebody, it actually occurred without our knowledge, or it could be an instruction that we've given before that we did not remember to follow through with. Okay, so since it's positive, what do? We now say, okay, this looks like a strange debit because I can't remember any of those debits occurring in my cash book, right? So I call it a strange debit. You can decide to call it direct debit. You can call it whatever you like. But for me, I prefer to call it a strange debit, right? Then the next thing I also did is I called all of them strange debit. Then when I called all them then strange debit because they're in the bank statement and they're all debit, right? I called them strange debit. Then the next thing I saw transactions on the cash book. This transaction is actually a negative figure, which means it's a credit transaction, right? So, and then it's a cash book. Any credit transaction on the cash book is an expense. So since it's an expense, then it means over here to confuse us, they put being bank charges. Then you now check, can bank charge occur in your cash book? Can a bank charge occur in your cash book that will not occur in your bank statement itself? No, we couldn't trace 100 naira to our bank statement. So therefore, since it's a negative figure, we now say, okay, it's an expense. It means this expense did not reflect in our bank. It means that it is a check that we give somebody that the person actually has not presented, which the person is still going to present later. So we now call it unpresented checks. Okay, and it happens for the two of them. We call them unpresented checks. So from there, we now went further to. I say there are two ways in which you can solve it. You can either solve it from your balance as at the bank, or you can solve it from your balance as at your cash book. Okay, so we now came over when we are done with all those whatever we have done. We now came to where we are solving. When you are solving it, this is what you do. You say your balance as at the bank. You can start with your balance as at the bank. Then what are the things that happen in the bank? Okay. Or what are the things that did not happen in the bank? Number one, we deducted bank charges. Can we add it back first? Let's see whether we will arrive at the figure in the cash book. Okay, we added it back. Then uncredited checks, uncredited. Already in our own books, we've already recorded it as an inflow. Money has entered, but it has not reflected in the bank. Let's also make it reflect in the bank, whether we will get the same figure. So we now add our uncredited checks. The next one, our strange debits that occurred, strange expenses that was incurred in the bank that we did not treat in our cash book. So since we didn't treat in our cash book, let's deduct it first. And sorry, let's add it back first. Okay, let's add it back first. Let's see whether we will arrive at this figure. Okay, it doesn't mean that this expense has not occurred. It has occurred, but we're trying to see whether all these things it's what it is, right? So if we are able to discover that, okay, all these things are actually what it is, then what we now do is that when we have been able to finish reconciling, we can now pass journals, things like bank charges that occurred in the bank that did not occur in the cash book. We can now treat it to affect the cash book also. But we need to first of all be sure that all these things, if we treat them, that our account will now balance. So we now say, okay, bank charges actually occurred in the bank, right? That could be the reason why our balance is not the same. Let's add it back first. We decide to add it back. Our uncredited, there are some checks that there's some money that came in that we have recorded already, but it has not been recorded in the bank. Let's record it also and see whether we arrive at this balance. Then the next thing is that there were some expenses that was incurred in the bank. It could be a standard order, it could be a strange debit, it could be a direct debit, whatever it is. Let's add it back first, as if those things did not occur. Let's see whether we will arrive at this figure. So we did all those things. Then the next thing is we are doing is that we are now subtracting. So there are 3 things that you're going to add. Add bank charges back to your bank balance. Add strange debit back to your bank balance. Add uncredited check to your bank balance. Then you now less all this. Why are we lessing this? This unpresented, right, is something that they ought to have presented. And if they present it, it would have reduced our balance at the bank. So let's treat it as if it has been presented. Okay, we are lessing unpresented check. Okay, then our strange credit. This strange credit now, it entered our bank, but it has not entered our cash book, or we are not aware. It caught us unaware. So we now say, okay, could it be the reason why our balance at the bank is different from our cash book? Okay, let's deduct it first. Let's take it away first, as if they didn't enter. So we deducted it, and then we now saw that at the end of the day, we are going to have the same figure. So if we are to have the same figure, then this is when we will now treat our cash book now to now be like our bank statement by treating some transaction. So what do? We pass journal in our bank. So in our cash book, we need to now pass journals to treat some of these transactions that have occurred. Okay, that have occurred. So what do? Already our bank charges is not reflecting. We come and treat our bank chart to reflect, right? By crediting our cash book, and yes, we credit our cash book, right? By such a transaction, because it's an expense, right? We credit our cash book. Then the next thing we now do is that we now say, what else do we want to do? We now say, yeah. So the next thing we want to do is our strange debit also, right? Strange debit. So we also credit our cash book. Okay, we credit our cash book with that value. The another thing is that our uncredited, they've not credited it, right? So since they've not credited it yet, so what do? We have to net it off. What do? We also credit our cash book to reduce that amount that we've captured that has not been captured in the bank. So we also credit our cash book. Okay, so at the end of the day, we are almost arriving at this figure. Then the next thing is that our unpresented check, right? This our unpresented check, we have already treated it as if we have paid the client, but the client has not presented. So what do? We debit it back. We debit it back to our cash book, right? Then our strange credit. This money has entered into the bank already, but we don't have it in our cash book yet. So what do? We now have to debit our cash book with that amount. Are we together? Are we together? Hello. Hello. Am I alone on the call? Are we together? Can you still hear me? If you can hear me, let me see a thumbs up from you. If you can hear me, can I get a thumbs up? Okay, fine. So I think that is how to actually reconcile, right? Because you want to get back the figure. Okay, so that is how to actually reconcile. Now, because of time, let's just quickly switch over to this other transaction. So this other transaction is actually happening in our Zenith Bank account, right? So in our Zenith Bank account, obviously the same procedure. We are going to have our we're going to have everything exactly the way it is on our bank statement and also the same way it is on our cash book, right? We're also going to have a place where we're going to tell where the source is. So here we have the source, we have the source. So what they did here actually, what they did here is that they've taken away, since they have gotten all this figure, they now paste it special. They pay special. So it means that this transaction, they've taken away all the credit and debit section. They've taken it away. Since they've merged, they've said debit minus credit. They've added all the negative for the credit transactions. Then the debit transactions are positive. They now copy it and pay special. And all the credit and the debit side, they deleted it, okay? So they have it this way. So let me check my remarks. Let me see if there's anything that, okay. Even here as well, the X that we were able to see between bank and cash is not also here. So let's do something. Let's come to these workings. I think this workings is going to be more elaborate, okay? So look at these workings now. You already know that we are going to have source, right? We already know that we're going to have source. We also know that we are going to have a section where we are going to have amount. And under that amount, we're going to say equal to the debit minus the credit. So immediately they were able to get this amount, which is where we combine the debit and the credit. They now copy it and paste it special. So let me go back to that transaction. Let me show us what they did, okay? So that we are aware of what they did. Let me go back to that transaction that we did first. Okay, so we'll come back to this place, right? Let's come back to what we worked on. So this is what we did. This is what they did, right? They already had, let me also unhide whatever is hidden. Let me unhide whatever is hidden, and I click on OK. So this is what they did, right? So here, they already have the debit, they already have the credit. They come to, this balance is fine, then this amount, they now say equal to the debit minus the credit, Abby. They now autofill everything to the bottom. Then what they now did is that they now also copy these things. They copy it. When they copy it now, because they want to delete this debit and this credit, they want to delete any other thing that is there, they copy this thing, then they now paste it special. They paste it 1, 2, 3. So they just copy it, Control C, and then they now came back here and they now pasted it 1, 2, 3. Okay, so once you paste it 1, 2, 3, everything has been pasted like just figure, normal figure. It's no longer a formula. Then they can go on to delete what is here and what is here. So that's what they actually did. I just wanted to show us so that we are not confused, okay? That is what I'm doing. I wanted to show us so that we are not confused. So once they have done that, we now come back to that place so that you are aware of what was done. So that is how they did it, okay? They pasted these things special because they knew that the figures or the transaction are long. So let's check the transaction. Look at the transaction. Very, very long. You can see the transactions are very, very long, very, very long, very, 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 very long, right? So this is going to take hours to be able to like match all these X. And funny enough, I was the one that actually worked on this transaction. So you can see all the X, very long transaction, okay? This is like a real stuff, but you have to take the pain to make sure that you are able to get everything done, okay? So this is how we are able to, so X or XS, whatever you want to use, depending on you, either you want to use X or you want to use XS. As far as it's X, X is X. It means that we are able to see it on the bank statement as well as on the cash book. So when you have done that, you're now going to have So what the next thing they also did is that they also sorted this thing alphabetically. They now came to the remarks. They sorted it alphabetically, right? I can also hide all the ones that I've seen because what I've seen is not actually what the issue. The X and X is not the issue because these ones, they are on the bank statement, they are on the cash book as well. So I just click on OK. When I click on OK, it's only going to show me the things that are the reconciling differences. That's all it's going to show me, okay? So here are the reconciling differences. That's what it's going to show me. So I now start treating them one after the other, right? Now, another reason why it's good that they sorted this thing or they place it special is because you can easily still come over here and now sort alphabetically so that you can see the lower figures. So that if you want to call them bank charges, you can easily call them bank charges, okay, without wasting time. So you can also come here like this and then sort it smallest to largest. Once you sort it smallest to largest, look, negative figure will in fact of all come up, right? But the positive figure will now show immediately after the negative figure. You now start seeing the small figures. So all the small figures, they are all in the bank statement, right? You can see bank statement. So obviously they are bank charges. It's easy for you to quickly classify all these figures as bank charges because they are actually small figures. You can quickly call it bank charges. So that after you've been able to capture all the bank charges, you now have other things. So yeah, look at this one now. Straight credit. This is okay. Yeah, so sorry. Yeah. So now, if you check this one now, you can see that this is bank, this is our cash book, right? On our cash book, we are having a positive figure. This positive figure, can somebody tell me, this positive figure, is it a debit figure or is it a credit figure? Who can tell me?
It's a debit figure, sir.
Okay, and since it's on cash book, is it an inflow or an outflow?
It's an inflow.
So it's an inflow. So if this money has entered our cash book, it therefore means that it has not been credited in the bank. So that's why we're calling it uncredited. I don't know if you understand. So the money is already sitting in our cash book. However, it's yet to be credited in the bank statement. Okay, so that's why we have it over there. Then we are still calling all these bank charges. Then when I come over here, also we still have other positive figures, right? Which are also still money that has entered the cash book, but we have not credited them. So we still have uncredited. All of them, they are cash book, they are uncredited. Then here we have our bank statement. It's also a debit, which is what? It's also a bank charges, right? So that's how we're able to do that. So we have a lot of uncredited. Then we have bank statement. We have a strain debit. We have another strain debit. We have another strain debit. Cash book, we have a lot of uncredited, bank charges, and so on and so forth. Strain debit, uncredited. So is there anyone that we have that is I'm coming, we have unpresented, uncredited, then strain credit. We didn't have any strain credit in the bank statement. I'm not sure we have any strain credit in the bank statement. Well, let me search first. Let me do this thing alphabetically first. Let me say whether we see strange credits. Let me go to where we see X, B. Okay, yeah. So look at, we also have some straight credit in our bank statement. So we have some straight credit that is in our bank statement, but is not in our cash book. So since that is how they were able to do all this, you can see that this thing is not actually difficult, as if you can follow through what I told us. So let's now come over here and see what was done. So we also started from balance as the bank statement. So we now took our balances as a bank statement, which is actually this. I told us that there are 3 things that we're going to add. We're going to add our bank charges. We're going to add back our strain debit. We're also going to add our uncredited, right? So we are going to say that, why are we having a different figure in our cash book, right? That is actually different from what we have in our bank statement. So why are we having that different figure? Can it be because there are certain things that we've recorded, certain income that we recorded in our what's it called, in our cash book that we are yet to record in the bank. Let's record it also first. Let's see whether it's going to balance. So that's why we are going to add all these three things. Once we are able to add all these three things, the other two things that we're having, we are going to deduct them. Okay, we're going to deduct the other two things that we're going to have. So when we add all these three things together, we got 30 million. We added it to our 5 million. We're able to get this value. Then there are three things that we need. There are two things that we need to deduct. We deduct unpresented. These are the things that we've recorded in our own books that we have already paid the client, right? However, they've not deducted it from the bank. So we deduct it from the bank. Then strange credit. These are money that entered into the bank, right? But we don't have knowledge of it in our cash book. So as at the time we were preparing our cash book, because we don't have the knowledge of it, we are also going to deduct the strange credit. Okay, so we are deducting the strange credit. Then once you've done that, then we have unreconciled difference at a certain date, unreconciled difference at a certain date. Okay, so we have all those things. So we now also deduct them. But this now, you don't have the history of all this stuff. We don't have the history of all this stuff. Okay, so we don't have the history of this stuff. So, but this is what you know. Know that you're going to add back your bank charges. You're going to add back your uncredited check. You're going to add back your strange debit. Then you're going to less your unpresented. You're going to less your strange credit. At the end of the day, whatever you have, you are supposed to be able to compare it to what you have in the cash book. So this is our cash book, right? This is our cash book. So let me put it as expected cash book balance. Okay, so this is expected cash book balance that we're looking for. So at the end of the day, when we did all our plus and minus together, we were able to arrive at the same thing. That means that all this reconciled difference as at this other date, they are still intact. So when you minus them from it, you are still going to arrive at the exact thing that you have. So don't bother yourself about all these. We are good to go. And that is how we're able to get this stuff. Okay. So, right. Okay. Okay, so that is that actually. That is that. Okay, so there is nothing difficult in it. So we can ask questions now. Let's ask question. We have 10 minutes to the end of the class. Let's ask question. Is there anything that I have done that is looking like magic to you? Is there anything I've done that is looking like magic to you that you need more clarification on, or that you don't understand? Anything that I've done? So it's not more than this. So all those people that you see, you know, CFOs and all those people, this is all they do. It's not more than this. Now, if you have any other thing that you can use to be able to match all these things, like conditional formatting, if you have any other thing that you can, the work there is to be able to take away all those things that are on the bank statement that is also on the cash book that match each other. If you can take away all those things, the remaining is what you need for your solution, okay? The reconciling differences. Those are the reconciling differences. If you can take away all those X that I've taken away, that is the main work. Once you are able to take away all those X, then other things are going to be easy. Then also, because you also have knowledge of Excel, you can also use a formula, a sum-if formula, okay, to actually get all these your figures. Instead of you solving manually or adding manually, you can actually use a sum-if formula to get all these things. Okay, you know, there's this sum-if formula that I did the other time. You can actually use it to get all these things. So it's going to go over here and pick all the information, the summation of all those information for you without you bothering yourself about it. So probably I can also do that and share it with us as a template so that at the end of the day, you have everything working for you. You just know that the only thing you need to do is that just pick your balance as at your bank, pick your balance as of your cash book. Then when you have done all your narrations and everything is going to pick the figure for you, and then you're going to be getting all you need to get, and then you're good to go. So we have 8 minutes to the end of the class. Any question? So let me ask question. If you're not going to ask question, let me ask question. Mr. Olutayo, can you hear me, sir?
Hearing you, sir.
Okay, so if you come across any job now that they're asking you to reconcile, do bank reconciliation, can you confidently go for it?
I will need to go back. I mean, to go over this lecture, really.
Okay,
The
but if you go,
area where we had that sorting, I'm yet
okay,
to really come to terms with it.
okay,
So
you mean that place where
I will need to go, if need be, to even itemize the steps we have taken, so that I will be able to internalize it really.
okay, no problem. But at least if you at least now you can say that, okay, if I go back to this lecture, I am sure that I can get like 70% confidence that I can face whatever work that comes through like his bank reconciliation. Am I right?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. So it's not difficult actually. There's nothing difficult in it. Okay. No knowledge is yeah. So let me ask another question. Thank you, sir. Mr. Stanley Nwogu, can you hear me, sir? Mr. Stanley, can you hear me? Okay. If you can't, if you don't want to respond, let me call someone else. Mr. Oyelade Adeshina. Are we together?
Yes, sir. That's better.
Okay. So what is the confidence level, sir, now? Do you have any area, any questions you want to ask? Do you have any area of challenge? Is there any question you want to ask based on this bank reconciliation that we are doing tonight? Okay, I guess there is none. Probably majority of us, when we go back to this our lecture, we should be able to get it done. Okay. So let me also ask us, when you are starting from the bank, you need to pick balance as at the bank. What are the things that you need to add, and what are the things that you are subtracting? So basically, the reconciling differences from what we've done so far, the reconciling differences should be 5, right? So out of those 5, 3 things will be added back to the bank balance, then 2 things will be deducted from the bank balance. So can somebody tell me what are the 3 things that will be added? What are the 2 things that will be deducted? And can someone list out the reconciling differences that we have? That should be easy, right? Who is going to help us with that?
Let me start.
Okay, sir.
The first cashbook. What we had, if we started with in the bank, yes, it means that
Can
any
can you speak louder?
transaction,
Can you speak? Can you speak? Can you check if your mic is not well placed so that we can hear you well?
is it okay like this?
Yeah, it's better. Thank you, sir.
I said cash at a bank. It means that if there is any transaction in the bank, there is no in the cash book. we are adding it back. Then,
Okay.
if there is any transaction in the bank that is not in the cash book, we are still adding it back to the bank to give us to arrive at cash in the cash book. And if there is any transaction in the cash book that is not in the bank, we have to remove it. As in remove it from the book to arrive at the cash in the cash book.
Okay. So thank you, sir. So let me do something. Yes. So let me do something. Let me make it easier for us. Okay. I want to make it easier for us. We know that when you have a balance as at the bank, that balance, right? The balance, the only thing that you can do to that balance is you can check what are the expenses that has been deducted already, right? The expenses that have been deducted already that will make that balance to be different from the balance in the.
We are not seeing the screen, sir. I don't know whether you.
I think it's on your end. It's on your end because others should be able to see the screen. GB from your end, sir. Others, can you
Yes,
see my?
I'm seeing it. I'm just.
Okay, so I guess you want me to show this. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so I want to make it easier for us, right? When you have when you take your balance at the bank, so you ask yourself that, is there any expense that, or any deductions that have been done in the bank, okay, that will make this balance that we're having to be different from the balance that we have in the cash book? Obviously, any expense that would have been incurred is going to be the bank charges that usually occur in the bank, which doesn't occur in the cash book, and also the strange debit, okay, which also occurs that doesn't occur here. Then what else? If there is any credit that has come in before that we are not aware of, we are going to deduct it. So it means that any debit that we have deducted, we add it back. Any credit that came in, we deduct it. So look at it. If it's an expense, add back the expense. If it's an income, deduct the income. So now I'm treating bank charges. Let me color it. I'm treating bank charges now. Bank charges, strain debit. So I'm treating all these two together now. Strain debit and also strain credit. I'm treating these three together. So now, if there's any expense that have occurred, if there's any expense that have occurred in the bank that they are not aware of in cash book, if there's any expenses, add it back. If there's any income that has occurred in the bank statement that we are not aware of, also deduct it. So strain credit will be deducted, right? Bank charges will be added back because an expense, added back. Strain debit will be added back, right? Then the next thing we now say is that if there's anything that they've treated in the cash book that has not been treated in the bank statement, treat it. So what are the things? Our unprecedented check, they've already treated it in the bank, in the cash book, right? Because they've assumed that we have paid the vendor. They've already deducted that money. So because they've assumed that they've paid the vendor, also go and pay the vendor quick in the bank. Deduct the money also because it's assumed that they've paid the vendor. Then the next things are uncredited. Here also it has been treated in the cash book. That money has come in, but we've not treated it in the bank. So treat it, that money has come in. So this is very easy. So anything that they've deducted in the bank, add it back. Any money that came into the bank, deduct it. That is a strange credit, deduct it. Anything that they've treated in the cash book that has not been treated in the bank, treat it. What are the two things? Uncredited, the money has that's coming into our cash book, but we've not captured it. Go and capture it. Unpresented, the money we've paid our vendor from the cash book, but they've not actually deducted it in the bank. Go and treat it as though we have paid the vendor. So in the bank. So at the end of the day, you're going to arrive at your answer. Does it make it easier now? Does it make it simpler now? Or is it more confusing? So if you understand it, give me a thumbs up so that we can wrap up the class and we go and rest till tomorrow. Mr. Olise, you've not said anything, no. Are we good? Mr. Ibrahim Shitu, you've not said anything. Are we good? We are not saying anything. Is it like this class, today's class is technical or what? Okay. So in the absence of anybody saying anything, let's call it a day. See you guys tomorrow by God's grace. So I'll try and upload this so that we can have it to study with. Is that okay by us?